ask you something. Are you working harder than ever and still not feeling like you're making real progress? You've got the title, maybe the compensation, maybe even the visibility, but something feels off. You are stuck in meetings, you're hitting your targets, but deep down you know that this isn't sustainable. And the worst is that it might not even be meaningful. So here's the truth. A lot of high performers aren't failing because they lack skill or ambition. They're stuck because they're trapped mentally, strategically, operationally by the corporate beliefs that no longer serves them. So in today's video, I'm going to go deep into this. I'm going to be sharing with you 7 corporate traps that I have seen quietly derail even the smartest, most capable professionals across industries and across geographies. And if you spot these corporate traps early on, then you can course correct with clarity and with control. So let's get started. Trap number 1 is the notion that you have to choose between money and title. It's a false choice, but it's repeated so often that it starts feeling like the truth. You do it for the experience. Your title doesn't matter if the work that you're doing is good, or worse, take the title now and we'll fix the compensation later. No. Money and title are both signals of value. If one is consistently out of alignment with the impact that you're driving, you're sending a wrong message to your company and to yourself and to the industry as well. Think about it. If you're leading a multi-million-dollar initiative, managing teams, influencing strategy, but your title and your compensation says mid-level contributor, you're undervaluing your leverage. I've turned down multiple offers that were impressive on paper but misaligned on either pay or scope, because once you start accepting the imbalance, you normalize it for yourself. So the lesson to learn over here is don't negotiate your worth down. Demand alignment. It's not about entitlement, it's about strategy. It's about you being able to drive the impact with your worth in place. The second trap that we often fall into is your work should be your passion. This one is a dangerous one because it feels inspirational. We are told do what you love and you'll never have to work a day in your life. But let's be honest, that's not how business works, and that's definitely not how the corporate environment works. Work doesn't have to be your passion, but it should be in the service of your life and not consume you. Some days work can be exciting, other days it can be an operational grind. That doesn't mean that you're in the wrong job. It just means that you're in a real one. The most powerful framing is, does your work enable your values? Does it give you the space to show up as a version of yourself that you want to be, not just at work, but outside of it too? Now, passion can be a part of the equation, but it's not the whole math. Build a career that supports your purpose, not one that replaces it. The third trap that we often fall into is treating work like family or treating colleagues like friends. Let's be clear. You don't have to turn colleagues into confidants to be respected. Being friendly means being collaborative, approachable, and trustworthy. Being friends, on the other hand, means putting in that emotional investment, being vulnerable, and sometimes that blurs the boundaries. In high-stakes environments, these blurred boundaries create noise. Suddenly, feedback feels personal, decisions get second-guessed. So my mantra has been to be friendly at work but not make friends at work. I've worked with leaders who confuse being liked by being effective. Leadership isn't about being liked, it's about being clear. Clear in direction, clear in expectations, and clear in relationships. So set your boundaries, you'll be more respected for it. Try to be friendly at work, but don't try to make friends out of your coworkers. The next trap that I want to talk about shows up in subtle ways in so many aspects of work. And that trap is assuming that rest is unproductive. Skipping lunch, responding to emails at midnight, or bragging about back-to-back meetings like it's a sign of relevance. Let's call it the corporate self-harm. Burnout is not a badge of honor. It's an indicator of poor systems, poor boundaries, or both. And that's the irony. Burnout makes you slower, less strategic, less emotionally intelligent, less valuable, and less productive for an organization. Every leader that I know who operates at their peak level protects their recovery time like they protect their business and their KPIs. And that's because they realize that rest isn't passive. Rest is not non productive, it's a performance strategy. You're not paid to be busy, you're paid to be effective. Knowing that difference really helps you become more strategic and focus on what matters the most. Trap number 5 that I want to talk about is the fact that you continue doing your work, fulfillment would come later. This is a trap of the moving goalpost. You hit one milestone, then you have to get busy hitting the next big role, next bigger team, more revenue, and yet something always feels it's out of reach. Here's the reality. Chasing without presence leads to accumulation, not fulfillment. I've hit massive goals in my professional career. I've launched products, turned around business units, acquired companies, and in the quiet moments afterwards, sometimes all I felt was, what's next? That's when I realized that if I don't learn to be present now, to cherish achievement, no achievement will ever feel like enough. In the corporate environment, we always talk about growth, but we rarely talk about stillness. And stillness is where the real meaning lives. The next trap that I want to talk about is something that we have all fallen into at some point in our career. And that is that time is free, say yes and figure it out later. The reality is that time is the most expensive currency in our lives and we can't earn it back. Early on in my career, I said yes to everything because I thought availability equaled being valuable. But the real value comes from focus. The real value comes from protecting your energy, your decision space, and your attention bandwidth. Every yes that you say costs you something else. Remember that. Now, I filter every request that comes my way through a simple lens. Does this align with my overall strategy? Is this the best use of my capabilities? Or can someone on my team do this just as well or better than I can? The more senior you become in a corporate role, the more you climb up the corporate ladder, the more your time becomes a lever, not your effort. Spend it like it matters because it really does. And the last trap that I want to talk about today is to get clarity before you take action. It sounds wise, it sounds careful, but the reality is that oftentimes it's the fear of failure wearing a strategic mask when we want to overplan for things. Clarity does not always come before action. It often comes because of action. We live in a very agile and nimble world where things are continuously changing, and as such, situations are often ambiguous. I've seen incredibly smart leaders get stuck in decision loops, waiting for perfect data, total buy-in, full certainty. And while they wait, someone else makes the move. Someone else launches a product, runs a pilot, and lands a customer. Some of my boldest career decisions, building new platforms, driving mergers and acquisitions, reorging teams, did not start with perfect information. They started with informed conviction followed by rapid feedback. If you wait until everything is clear to take action, you're already late in the game. So here is my success mantra. Move with approximately 70% clarity with 100% commitment to adapt. And that's how real leaders operate in uncertainty. These traps that we talked about today, they're subtle. They sound reasonable and even responsible, but they keep you in the cycle of delays, depletion, and disconnection. So here's an invitation to all of you. Audit your thinking, not your to-do list, not your inbox. Your thinking, the beliefs that shape how you show up, how you lead, and how you define success. Because the moment you see the trap, you can then step out of it. I would love to hear from you which of these hit hardest for you and what is one trap that you're committed to breaking. Don't forget to like and subscribe and share this with someone who needs a reset, not because they're failing, but they're capable of so much more. I'll see you next week. Till then, have a successful week. Bye-bye.